welcome to the special edition episode of Bayou Time, where we recap the weekend's election coverage. I'm your host, Magee. Let's get to it. We begin with Terrebonne Parish results. Locally, it's an historic day for Terrebonne Parish, as we will have our first new parish president in 8 years. Jason Bazeron defeated Councilman Darren Guidry 55-45. Jason Bazeron, well known in the community as an activist and local civic leader, but outside of government, defeated the longtime parish council insider Darren Guidry in a 55-45% win, and will see a new administration for the first time in 8 years. He will also have some new faces on the council, but not District 1, where Brian K. Pledger maintained his seat with a 53-47 victory over Ralph Singleton, a new challenger. But we will have a new council member from District 6. This is the old seat of Darren Guidry, where Clyde Hamner, a school board member, beated Mike Cuz Prosperi 55-45. We will also have a new council seat in District 8, which is the seat held by Dirk Guidry, where Kim Chauvin defeated Barry Soudier 52-48. Looking outside of the local races, we had a state senate race that affected Lafourche, Terrebonne, but predominantly St. Mary Parish, where Robert Alland beat Henry Beau-Lagrange 59-41. Robert is the son of the current state senator, Brett Alland, who defeated Beau-Lagrange, who was a longtime parish employee in St. Mary. This race was interesting because Beau-Lagrange had a long time, had actually won St. Mary Parish, the heart of this district, but Robert was able to get more votes in Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish to pull up an overall victory of 59-41. And now for our local state representative races, we had District 53, which was replaced my seat in the House, and where we had Jessica Domeng, a current council member, square up against Dirk Guidry, a current council member. Jessica hailing from the downtown area and Dirk being the council member from the Chauvin area was a close contested race, but Jessica was able to prevail 52-48. Moving on to the statewide results. We had a not close competitive race statewide, which was mostly noted in interest because two women, for the first time in Louisiana history, are going to be holding elected office. Louisiana has never had two women both in statewide office at the same time. And so the first one, we had Nancy Landry defeating her Democrat challenger Gwen Collins Greenup 67-33. This is interesting because Gwen Greenup had ran before and actually had a much closer election, getting well into the 40s against the incumbent last election cycle. Liz Baker Murrow beat Lindsay Cheek, her Democratic challenger for Attorney General, 66-34. And the only race that did not feature a new woman in the position, John Fleming was able to beat Dustin Granger 65-35. John Fleming being the Republican former congressman from the Shreveport area, defeating Dustin Granger, who has run for other offices in the past from the Calcasieu, Lake Charles area. Not just people were on the ballot this weekend, we also had a host of amendments, beginning with Constitutional Amendment number 1, which had to do with vetoing governor's bills during session. The people passed this amendment by a margin of 61-39. And then we had Constitutional Amendment number 2, which was repealing unnecessary and duplicative funds that were existing that were no longer being used. The people approved that measure 55-45. We also had an exemption for first responders on their ad valorem taxes that passed 53-47. And the only constitutional amendment to not pass, which was 4, which had the use of emergency fundings during from the what we call the rainy day fund, and it failed 44-56. We'll continue now with a look at other numbers from Lafourche Parish, where we had a unexpected result when Jerry Jones, the longtime incumbent council member in District 1, lost his seat to Dajae Broomfield, a no-party candidate, 56-44. That was the only thing in Lafourche Parish, but we also have some results from Assumption. We had a district court judges race where Kejuan Gant Turner was able to defeat Vicky Jones handedly 66-34. We also had a police jurors race in Assumption Parish, a very, very close one, probably the closest election of the night. It was 50-50, but Ron Alcorn, by a total vote of 491, was able to defeat Josh Hemel, the Republican, 482. And also that one was unique for its high turnout of 54%, even though the statewide turnout was in the low 20s. We also had some St. Mary Parish results in addition to that Senate race we talked about earlier. We had Councilmember District 3, where Rodney Oleander was able to defeat his independent challenger, Peter Soprano, 55% to 45%. We also had District 5, where Leslie Les Rolfe was able to beat Doug Streety, 54-46. Both candidates were Republicans. And finally, we had District 8 council race, where Mark Duhon of No Party was able to hold off also a No Party challenger, Carlo Galgano, by a margin of 63-37. And that concludes our election coverage from this weekend. An historic election indeed, with a lot of new faces. And we'll be back with more Bayou Time.